Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. For a radio audience tuning in at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all can be with us. Also tuning in through iHeartRadio and Amazon Music, we're glad you all could join us as well. If you guys are preparing for the SAT or you know someone who does, you probably have heard the news that starting on Saturday, March the 9th, the SAT is changing forever. This is the day that every student in the U.S. will have access to the digital version of the SAT. Now, this is something that is exciting. It's something that's new. And if you're looking for what you can expect, but also how you can still practice, we're excited about our next guest. We're excited to welcome to our broadcast Priscilla Rodriguez to our show. She is the Senior Vice President of College Readiness Assessments for the College Board. She's going to talk to us not only about what you need to know about the digital SAT, but also where you guys can go to find out more information. Priscilla, thank you again for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it as well.
So this is an exciting thing. I remember going way back, Priscilla, for myself and taking the SAT. Definitely, I think I would have enjoyed being able to do it digitally, even though I don't think we would have known how to do it when I graduated from school. But why did the College Board switch to the digital SAT?
I'm with you. I mean, I also took it a long time ago, and hard to imagine the computers we had back then. But I think I even might have felt more confident doing it, and that's certainly true of today's students, and that really is why we've made this change, right? So we have been hearing more and more from students in schools that we survey and meet with, et cetera, that they being students, today's students are doing a lot of their learning digitally and a lot of their other testing digitally, to the point where us shipping those little Scantron bubble answer sheets and asking them to carefully fill them in and don't accidentally skip a row because then you're kind of, misanswering all the way down the sheet was genuinely a source of stress for today's students. And the SAT can be stressful enough for some students. We certainly don't need to be adding that kind of stress. So once we felt like we were at a point where it was students in school saying, we're ready, can you guys do this? We decided, we're ready to. We announced this over 2 years ago. So we wanted to give everyone ample heads up and be really open about how we're doing it and how to practice and how to get familiar. And we launched the digital SAT internationally first. So outside of the U.S., the digital SAT is the SAT in 180 countries in the world where we give it. And in this past year, over 300,000 students from outside of the U.S. have taken it, and the feedback has been really, really positive.
Well, that's a great thing. Well, I'm sure that students are excited about this as well. So, Priscilla, let's talk a little bit about what they need to know. What can they expect on the digital SAT that may be different?
Yeah, a few key things I'd love to share. So the first thing is it's digital, so you're going to take it on a digital device. Specifically, it can be a laptop or a tablet. It is not a take on your cell phone test, at least not yet. And that you can just imagine, right? The test questions would be pretty hard to see and calculate on a screen as small as a phone. So laptop or tablet, and you take the test on a student testing app we developed at College Board called Blue Book. Students can download that app for free, of course, at any time. And in fact, we encourage that because that's where our practice tests are. So that's thing one. Thing two is, while it's a digital test, it is still a test that students gather for in person with other students and a proctor in the room. This is not a take-at-home SAT. So with that being said, there are some exciting changes we've made that I'd love to share. So the first one, the headline, the one that I think students are most excited about, is the fact that the digital test is significantly shorter than the paper test. Specifically, it's about 2 hours long instead of 3 hours. And even with it being an hour shorter, and even with it assessing the same core reading, writing, and math skills that the paper SAT did, we were able to also give students more time per question as they work on the digital SAT. So what they've told us is they are less rushed during the test, they are less exhausted at the end of the test, and they altogether leave feeling more confident that they were able to do and sustain their best work over the full length of the test as they're being assessed on core reading, writing, and math skills.
Well, this is really exciting. Now, Priscilla, you mentioned, of course, the practice. So how can students practice then for the digital SAT?
We've been really focused on practice, right? That commitment goes back, I'll say quickly, 10 plus years now. So about 10 years ago, College Board, really took head on the fact that this industry of paid SAT classes had sprung up. And we knew that many students and families could not access or afford those. So 10 years ago, we formed a partnership with another nonprofit organization called Khan Academy. They are leaders in online teaching and tutoring for students. Together, we developed official SAT practice, so free online practice for what was then the paper SAT. That partnership continues, and we've actually deepened it with them. And we've also added, as I said, 4 full-length official practice SAT tests inside of that Blue Book student testing app. They look and perform exactly like the tests that you're going to take on test day. And it's a great way for students to get familiar with the app and all the great kind of tools and functions inside of it, what the questions look and feel like, practice your timing and your pacing, and you also get practice scores for each of them and diagnostics. What skill areas are you good on? You're set. And what skill areas could you benefit from spending some time refreshing and improving? And that's when you go over to Khan Academy. They have the detailed videos, tutorials, quizzes, practice problems on each skill area inside of the SAT so that you can hone in and spend your valuable time as a student on the areas where you can most improve. And then you can loop back to one of those 4 practice tests and see how your score has changed.
Well, so you mentioned skills, and there's been a lot of conversation, Priscilla, as you know, about, a push for, skills being really honed. So a lot of people are wondering about, if is the SAT something that they should take. So talk to our audience about that. I mean, why should students take the SAT?
Love the question. The context you're asking it in, I'm sure most of your listeners are aware, but to kind of pull back for a second, is that about 4 years ago, so this is spring, summer of 2020, that first season of COVID, if you will, when so many communities, schools, and countries were still in lockdown, colleges made the quick but fully understandable decision to go test optional, right? Students could not gather together to do anything, let alone take standardized tests. Many of those colleges and universities remain with those test optional policies at this point, right? 3 to 4 years later. I'll tell you that 3 to 4 years in, we still see 1.9 million students in the most recent high school graduating class of 2023, taking the SAT. That isn't down very much from the number pre-COVID when nearly every college was requiring the SAT. So why are so many students still doing this? And I think it boils down to 2 key things. One is in service of applying to college. So even with it being optional in many places and students having that choice, students and parents are saying quite clearly, and this includes in national surveys, that they want the option, the ability to put a score on an application. And it's because they know the SAT is a standardized, understandable measure of reading, writing, and math skills. With 25,000 high schools in this country, all with their own course offerings, all with their own grading policies, and a number at which no college can possibly know them all, providing an SAT score when you think it's a good measure of what you've learned gives colleges more data. They can make a more confident decision. They can better understand your high school GPA and transcript. The other reason, nothing to do with applying to college, everything to do with paying for it. The PSATs and the SAT connect students to $300 million of scholarships every single year. So for families who are stressed about how they're going to pay for college, having your student take the PSATs and or the SAT can actually open doors to real dollars to help your student be able to afford college.
Wow. Well, this is great information, Priscilla, and we're so glad to have you walk us through it and let our audience know what they can expect. Again, the SAT now being digital, something that I know students will enjoy the opportunity to still be able to practice and enjoy that. Priscilla, let our audience know again, how can they be able to find out more information about the digital SAT?
Sure. So students, parents, and educators in schools can go to sat.collegeboard.org/digital, and that's really the hub for all the information, what's changing, what's staying the same, how to practice, how to get that Blue Book app, and how to register for a weekend SAT.
Awesome. Again, everyone, Priscilla Rodriguez has been our guest, as Senior Vice President of College Readiness Assessments for the College Board, helping you guys know all you need to know about the digital SAT. Priscilla, thank you again for the time, and looking forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live, and let's go make today amazing. Take care.